Hello friends, and welcome back to another React hooks video. Today we are going to talk about useRef, one of the easiest hooks in React. With useRef, we can reference a value that is not needed for rendering, and we can also reference DOM elements. So let's see how this works. I've created my project using Vite, and I have only the app component, which is the root, and then a form that we are going to work with it, and I've included that form inside the app component. As usual, let's just console.log useRef hook, and we need to import it from React and then invoke it inside this log. So let's save it. So we get an object with one property, and that is current, and then the value of that current property, which is undefined at the moment. So we can pass our initial value inside the parentheses as an argument, and that would be our initial current value. So let's give it a save and refresh. We get 10. So notice something here. When I change this number to something else or to any other value and save it, we still get the old number. This is because ref is not reactive like state. So that's one difference between useState and useRef, that useState is reactive and constantly looking for changes, but useRef is not. The other difference is that we can directly mutate this current value. So if I move this down here and create a variable called myRef, and I'm just going to use that ref again and set it to a string this time, like Mike. And down here, I want to grab that myRef and then set the current value to John. So let's console.log myRef. So of course, we get an object where the current property is John. So even though we said Mike, but we were able to directly manipulate that property and set it to a new value and then log it into the console. So with the state, we cannot do this because a state is read-only in React. So that's the basic example, and now we want to see how we can reference DOM elements. But first, I'm going to comment this console.log out, so we have a clean console. So inside the form component, I'm going to create a variable, call it form data, and set it to useRef, of course, and initially, it's going to be null. So let's console.log form data. Of course, we get null. Now, I want to attach this reference to this form, and for that we have the attribute ref. So this ref attribute takes a ref object, and for us it is our form data. You notice here that we are setting our reference to form data and we expect to get this form, but if I save and refresh the page, we still get null. That is because of a caveat in useRef. If we go back to the documentation and scroll down a bit here, we have this pitfall, and they specify that we should not write or read to the current property of reference during rendering. So when we are doing this and refresh the page, this is the rendering time, right? So we are trying to read this during the render. That is not going to work. So we are getting the initial value, which is this one. So we always have to use something like useEffect, which runs on every state change, or an event like a click event or submit event and so on. So let's have both examples. I'm going to use the useEffect hook, which I briefly explained in my crash course on React, but basically, this useEffect, which takes a callback function, is going to run on every state change. And we want to run this command when the state changes. So if I save it, you can see we get current to be our form. So now you can see on this current property, we have a form, and that form includes all its children. So now we can grab the children value and save it inside a variable and do whatever we want to. Let's create a handle submit function here and set it to an arrow function, grab the event because we need to prevent the default on the form, and let's create two variables, one for username, which is going to be our form data, then current, then our input with the name username, and then value. These names are coming from the name property that we gave to our input field. So if we go back here and we check out our first input and we scroll down a bit, we have the name on that input field. So we can use it by chaining it to the current. So we want to say the input with the name username and grab the value, and then do the same thing for email. Let's just change these two to email and then console.log username and email. Now let's attach that handle submit to the onSubmit event on the form and see how this works. So I'm going to pass John here and john@email.com as an email and press add. Of course, we get those values in the console, but you can see how easily we could reference our form and grab the data out of that form, which is the parent of these three elements, and use it in our application. So if you don't need the state to be updated on the fly, useRef is a very easy hook to use. And that's all about useRef, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video and this has been helpful. And thank you for watching. See you at the next one. Bye bye.